Dan Cooper, the most mysterious hijacking case in U.S. history. After 45 years of investigation, the FBI announced the closure of the Dan Cooper airplane hijacking case, one of the most famous in American aviation history. In major cities in the Pacific Northwest, such as Portland and Seattle, several restaurants and cafes have been named after Cooper, selling memorabilia to tourists. However, many visitors do not know that the name Cooper comes from the world-famous hijacker involved in what is considered one of the greatest heists in U.S. history. The story began on Thanksgiving evening, November 24, 1971, at Portland International Airport in Oregon. A male passenger, carrying a black briefcase and wearing a suit, approached the ticket counter of Northwest Orient Airlines, identifying himself as Dan Cooper, according to CNN. Witnesses described him as a man in his 40s, about 6 feet tall, who purchased a one-way ticket on Flight 305 from Portland to Seattle. Flight 305 took off at 2:50 p.m. local time, with 37 passengers on board. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper handed a folded note to a nearby flight attendant, Florence Schaffner. When Schaffner did not initially read the note, Cooper leaned in and whispered, "You'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." The note read, "I have a bomb in my briefcase, and I will use it if necessary. I want you to sit next to me. The plane has been hijacked." Schaffner complied and sat next to him as Cooper outlined his demands: $200,000, equivalent to approximately $1.2 million today, 4 parachutes, and a refueling truck ready in Seattle to fuel the plane for a flight to Mexico City. Captain William Scott, the pilot, communicated the hijackers' demands to air traffic control, and law enforcement immediately prepared to comply. Meanwhile, the passengers were told that their landing would be delayed due to a minor mechanical issue. Upon landing in Seattle, Cooper directed Scott to taxi the plane to a secluded area on the runway. After receiving the money and parachutes, Cooper allowed the 36 passengers and 2 flight attendants, Schaffner and Alice Hancock, to leave the plane. While the plane was refueling, Cooper revealed his plan. They would fly toward Mexico City at the slowest possible speed to avoid crashing, maintaining an altitude of around 10,000 feet. 5 people remained on board: Cooper, flight attendant Tina Mucklow, Captain Scott, co-pilot Ratitzak, and flight engineer Anderson. 2 fighter jets from McCord Air Force Base were dispatched to shadow the plane. Unbeknownst to Cooper, another training plane was following the Boeing 727. At around 8 p.m., a warning light in the cockpit indicated that the rear stairway had been activated. Despite the crew's attempts to communicate, there was no response from Cooper. He had opened the rear stairs and parachuted out, taking the ransom money with him. After the plane landed safely, FBI agents and federal marshals surrounded and searched the aircraft, only to find that Cooper had vanished. Inside the plane, investigators found 66 fingerprints. Witnesses in Portland, Seattle, and Reno, as well as anyone who had interacted with Cooper, were questioned. Several sketches of Cooper were made based on eyewitness descriptions. Despite years of investigation, including questioning over 800 suspects, the FBI failed to identify the hijacker. One of the strongest suspects was Richard Floyd McCoy, who had been arrested in a similar hijacking and attempted to escape by parachuting. However, it was later determined that McCoy was merely imitating Cooper's crime. Many believe that Cooper perished during his nighttime parachute jump, as he landed in a forested area, a dangerous challenge even for experienced parachutists. This theory was bolstered in 1980 when a boy named Brian Ingram discovered a decaying bag containing nearly $6,000 in $20 bills along the Columbia River. Investigators confirmed that the serial numbers on the bills matched the ransom money given to Cooper. Nevertheless, this remains only a theory. After 45 years, in July 2016, the FBI officially closed the case of Dan Cooper, the most mysterious hijacker in American history.